Okay, so my camera had cut off on me, and I probably said a whole bunch of stuff. But what I do remember was that I was saying that they had Tri-County, and they had a whole bunch of women trying to make it seem like I was a mental patient. And God said, Andrea ain't no mental patient. She not stupid. He said she can't be that slow. She represented herself twice, and she won. So I represented myself for the criminal charges, and I won. I had a lawyer, but it never went to trial. And I brought the 19911 calls to the pre-trial and represented them to ask my lawyer to give them to the district attorney, along with the report that God told me to say. I said, God, teach me how to talk to these people to where no lawyer or anybody in the country will want to try to prosecute me for protecting myself. And he told me what to say. They was all running around trying to get rid of my evidence that I had about Austin attacking us. And I represented myself in the family court. And I won that too. My lawyer was saying she couldn't represent me with that. So with the bullet in Austin's leg, God, he said, let that bullet in his leg be a reminder to him about abusing women. That's what God said to Cynthia. Because Cynthia was going all around town saying stuff about me and trying to make it seem like that was Austin's house too, when it was not his house. I let him come to my house after he got out of prison, and I had a vision, and T.I. wife Tiny asked me, she said, what was your baby daddy in prison for? And I said, assault. So I know it's very important that he was already in prison for assault. And then he got out and came to my home. He was assaulting me in my home. And God said, you tell them folks that you called the police several times. He was assaulting me, and I told the police he was assaulting me. And God said to tell that he fled from the police. And God told me to tell what his charges are. I said it a whole bunch of times already, but I'll say it again. His charges include drug possession, theft, assault, family violence, Class C rape. He was convicted for assault on a public servant. He was convicted for unlawful restraint. And he was charged with trespassing. I don't know what else. But God told me that was very important, and to mention that he was on probation for 2 years for assault. He was on a 2-year felony probation for assault. And God told me to say that he kept assaulting me and that I tried to get him to stop. And that he was assaulting me in my kitchen. Then I looked it up and I found out that most psychologists and psychiatrists say that's the most dangerous place in the house for a man to be abusing a woman, because there's knives around and all kind of weapons. And God told me to say that's exactly where he was hitting me. And I was afraid that he was going to pick up something and kill me in my kitchen. God said to tell that I didn't want to let him in my home. I did not want to let Austin Matter in my home. I was on the phone with 911 while he was outside my door after he had fled from the police and came back. And God told me to say how his leg got hurt. He ran me out in the streets screaming for the police out of my home. Then I ran to the restaurant where I went in there with my son, and I asked the man to dial 911, and he did. And Austin came in there looking for me, and then he left out but came back in because I was hiding behind the man in the back. And he came in again and saw me back there hiding and ran back there and started attacking me. And then the man was trying to get him to stop, and he started attacking my son. And me and the man was trying to get him to stop, and I shot the gun in the air, and then I shot him in the leg. I put the gun to his leg, and I shot the gun to get my baby from him. That's what happened. So they told me to come out with my hands up with the gun, but I ain't come out with the gun. Me and my baby both came out with our hands up, and I had the gun back in my purse. And they all had their guns drawn on me, like they were gonna shoot me, telling me to get on my knees. And I did. And I told Officer C. Adams, a white woman who tried to arrest me before, after Austin was abusing me. But I wouldn't get in her squad car. And the white men showed up back up, and they were like, what going on? And she was trying to force me to get in her car after Austin was over there hitting on me when I first got pregnant with Melbourne. And I said no. Because I wasn't finna let that white woman lock me up because no white man abusing me and I'm pregnant. And she called for backup where they already knew. They were like, oh, that's Andrea Jones. Let her go. Because they knew he was abusing me. Everybody knew. And so I told her the gun in my purse. And she took the purse off my shoulder and she emptied out the contents of my bag onto her squad car. And they had a black man who was named Officer D. Schreider. And she was acting like she was training him. And they took me to the police department, but I asked them get the witness statements. And they did. And when we got to the police department, Officer D. Schreider was typing up the report inside of the computer at the police department. They had me sitting on the little bench. And I said, Officer, what am I being charged with? And he said, nothing right now because everything that you said is matching up with what the witnesses said happened. And then a detective came from the hospital from interviewing Austin. And then we went in this back room, and Officer D. Schreider and Officer C. Adams stood over me like they were trying to intimidate me. And the detective, he was sitting at the other side of the table, and they asked me what happened, and I told them exactly what happened, that he was attacking me and my son when I shot him. He said, okay, well, let me go. He said, well, I understand y'all got a volatile relationship. I said, no, it was not volatile. I was not attacking him. He was attacking me. I was being abused. It's a difference. He went in and said he needed to make a call to the district attorney. And they all left out. And he came back and said, I'm charging you. He said the district attorney wanted to try you in front of a grand jury. I'm charging you with assault with a deadly weapon, child negligence, dispersing a weapon within a public place. And there was another charge. That was for child endangerment. He charged me with endangering my own baby. So when we got to the jail, before we got to the jail, we were like, when they was taking me out of the police department, I started crying and screaming. And when that white woman, Officer C. Adams, closed that door, they was all laughing. And I told her, I said, I'm going to have your badge. I said, let me up out of this car because you know damn well she knew ain't no jury finna convict me. So ain't no point of y'all taking me in no goddamn jail for protecting myself and my son, my baby, 22 months. But I said, let me out of this squad car. And she was laughing, no, laughing. And the little white men were laughing, they was all laughing, and I said, let me up out of here. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna have y'all badges. That's okay, because I'm gonna have your badge. So they brought me to the Montgomery County Jail, and when they brought me inside of the Montgomery County Jail, Officer D. Strider was typing up the police report, the arrest record of what he was claiming happened, of why they was booking me in the first place. Turns out I didn't know what he was typing up until I was released and they gave me copies of the arrest record. He lied. He didn't tell the truth about what happened. He said that Austin was not attacking us. And he said that I was deliberately shooting him for no reason. I didn't know this. Because he said the witness statement is matching up with what you are saying. You are not being charged with anything right now. And he turned around and typed up a false ass arrest record when they brought me in that goddamn jail. And Officer C. Adams started lying to the women at the front. Because I asked them when they was booking me, I was bleeding. And I did not know that I was pregnant. I thought I had miscarried because I was bleeding. I knew I had missed my period after he got out of jail. So I said to Officer C. Adams and another officer, I said, you think I'm guilty? When they was booking me in. And she said, you shot him while he was holding your baby. I said, oh, that's what y'all saying? I said he was not holding my baby. He was being violent with my baby. It is a difference. So it reminds me of the Bible verse that they say, with our mouths we will prevail. Who is Lord over us? Who will see? So you switching up what really happened with your mouth. Lying and saying he never attacked me. And lying and saying that he was just holding my baby. Why would he have been holding my baby? Why would there was a witness? God said that the witness said he was being stupid with my baby. And investigator Jim McDougal went and interviewed the witness while I was in the back of that jail. And the witness told Jim McDougal that he was not afraid of getting shot. He said the mama was defending herself. And he said even when she shot the gun in the air, he kept being stupid with the baby. And he said, I was not afraid of getting shot. She was defending herself. And they still pausing me and tried to murder me to cover it all up. And kept lying about the fact that not only did he do that to me and my son, but I was pregnant too. And bleeding. So God said, let that bullet in his leg be a reminder to him about abusing women. And when I went into family court from the jail while they was trying to allow him to sue me for custody of Melbourne, of my son, he told Judge Tracy Gilbert that bullet could have hit my son. Well, let me tell you what Investigator Jim McDougal said and what the witness said. The witness said that he was not afraid of getting hit. And Investigator Jim McDougal went back to the scene and reenacted it all. And he knows that I put the gun right to Austin's leg. It was not a long distance shot where anybody else could have got hit. I put the barrel of the gun right to his leg and I shot him. And that's why his femur shattered. And that's why the bullet was still up in there. And investigator Jim McDougal said the way she put that gun to his leg and shot him, nobody else was in danger of getting hurt. The baby was not nowhere in the way of the crossfire. He was the one being protected. So ain't no way I'm finna shoot no gun at my own child. And he did not get hurt. He could have got hurt. And God said that Austin could have killed him. And that Austin could have killed the baby that I'm carrying. It was something about Joseph wanting to retaliate against me and shoot me because I shot his son. Joseph knew that Austin was abusing me. Joseph O'Vera came to my home, stomping up the stairs, because I stayed on the second floor talking about why the hell you keep calling the damn police. And I told Joseph, I said, because he is up in here being violent around my son, my small child. My son was 1 year old, going on 2. And I said, he's up in here being violent around my son, and I can't have that. So I had to call the police. And Joseph almost fought him in my living room because he tried to get violent with us in front of Joseph. So Joseph O'Vera knows. And God said to Joseph, he said he could have killed Andrea's children. She running out in the streets to protect her baby's lives. And they was all coming in the spirit talking about they were going to retaliate against me and kill my son and kill my babies because I shot Austin. And when we went into family court and Judge Tracy Gilbert was over the custody hearing, somebody said they had rigged that to take my son from me because they knew that they could not get away with convicting me and killing me. So it was a retaliation to take my son from me. And that's what God said it was. And Austin said the bullet was still in his leg. And I already knew, because God said let it be a reminder to him about abusing women. But it was my first time hearing somebody actually say it besides God. And I was like, when he told Judge Tracy Gilbert that the bullet was still in his leg, I was like, dang. So God was saying, telling the truth, that it was still in his leg. So I know I'm not guilty for shooting Austin. I'm a female. I'm a woman. And he was abusing me. And that's how he got shot. For everybody that want to keep going around lying. And that was my apartment. It was my home. And God said that he gonna learn a lot of lessons in jail. I don't know. Well, at first I didn't know what God meant by that, because he did go to jail while I was in jail. Austin ended up being arrested for attacking a woman in Cynthia O'Vera's home around my son. Cynthia had let him come and live with her while I was in jail fighting the charges from him attacking me and my son. And I was still in the jail, and I didn't know that he had another woman at Cynthia's house. And he attacked the woman in Cynthia's house. And Cynthia had to come back to the custody court and file to get custody of my son, because Judge Tracy Gilbert had signed temporary custody of my son to Austin. saying that he couldn't give them to me because I was still incarcerated on criminal charges for protecting myself. So, like, I was wondering what was going on when all of a sudden they was trying to give temporary custody to Cynthia, bringing me back to court. And Austin had been arrested, and Judge Tracy Gilbert tried to get me to sign the paper giving Austin temporary custody while I was in the jail, and I said no. They brought me back into his courtroom, and Judge Tracy Gilbert was yelling and all angry, and he was like, "Why you didn't sign the paper?" I said, "Because Austin is a danger to my child, and I'm not signing any paperwork giving him custody of my child. I don't agree with the order. I wouldn't even give him temporary custody of my child. He is a danger to my child." And Judge Tracy Gilbert got angry and said, "Oh, well, I'm signing it anyway." And he signed it, but Austin didn't show up to sign it. He was in jail. But Judge Tracy Gilbert claimed he didn't know, and Austin's lawyer was there, and he claimed he didn't know Austin was in jail. So Judge Tracy Gilbert signed custody of my son over to Austin while he was in jail for attacking another woman. And the day that he made the decision, Austin was in court, but the day that they brought in the order to be signed was like a week later. So within a week, he was in jail again for attacking another woman. And Cynthia verified to get temporary custody of my son. And Judge Tracy Gilbert was like, "Why are these two in front of me again?" And now he asked Cynthia, because I told him that he was attacking Cynthia. I told Judge Tracy Gilbert that Austin was attacking Cynthia O'Vera at her home, and I had to cross-examine Cynthia for the custody hearing when I won the case against Austin, because she was trying to be a false witness against me to try to help Austin get custody of my son from me, because they knew I was getting out on them charges. And I asked Cynthia, I said, "Cynthia, did you also have a protective order against Austin murder at your home in Magnolia, Texas?" And she said, "Yes, it was a restrictive order." I said, "Well, Cynthia, did you have to call 911 on Austin from him being violent with you in your home?" She didn't want to answer the questions. And Judge Tracy Gilbert told her, "You have to answer those questions. I see where Austin get his attitude from." Because Austin was trying not to answer the questions too, because they made me represent myself. And I was cross-examining them. And then I said to Cynthia, I said, "Did you have to call 911 on Austin murder for being violent with you in your home?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Did you have to call 911 several times?" And she said, "Yes." So when she came in to try to get temporary custody of my son while I was incarcerated, Judge Tracy Gilbert wanted to know, why is Austin back in here? Why is he in jail now? Didn't I just give him temporary custody of Melbourne Halo Matter? Because she was in there vouching for him. And he asked Cynthia the day that I cross-examined her, he said, "So you in here trying to take up for Austin, and he was being violent with you too in your house?" And she looked embarrassed. And that's when Judge Tracy Gilbert told me, "Well, Mom, I would give you your baby, but you still incarcerated. Come bring me all this information once you get out." So while I was in there, now Cynthia was trying to get temporary custody of him. And Austin was in jail with me. And we both came in the courtroom, in family courtroom, in chains and shackles. And Judge Tracy Gilbert said to Cynthia, "Why is Austin in jail? Didn't you just vouch to me that he was such this great father?" And Cynthia was like, "Well, I found out he was on drugs again. I saw that some of his daddy's needles was missing because he was shooting up methamphetamine. And that's a very aggressive drug." And Judge Tracy Gilbert said, "I want to know why he's in jail." And she didn't want to tell him. And she tried to brush it off like, oh, that's not important. He was like, no, you gonna tell me why he's in jail. And Cynthia said, well, she said, first thing she said, well, I took the baby and ran in the bathroom with with Melbourne. Because Melbourne was 2 years old. So the first thing she wanted to try to make Judge Tracy Gilbert believe, was that she was making sure Melbourne was safe. But what it showed me was that she was in fear for her life and in fear for my child, and she had to take my baby and run in the bathroom and lock the door. And she said that Austin tore the door off of one of the rooms. So he tearing off doors now. He was kicking mine. And that he went in the room and started attacking this woman that he had brought, or that he had at Cynthia's house. And started attacking her, that he jumped on her. And Cynthia said she ran in the bathroom with my son, locked the door, and called 911. And that the police came, and that they locked Austin up. And that's how he was in jail with me. So when my lawyer found out about that, my lawyer was like, why I didn't know about this? So there I was, trying to fight charges for him attacking me, and he out there attacking somebody else and getting charged. And they was still trying to kill me and my baby in the jail. And they still trying to kill my baby. Now, that's how Cynthia got custody of my son. And they had set a hearing for when I got the charges dropped for me to come to court. But Judge Tracy Gilbert was telling me I ain't have my own place. Cynthia was telling I was homeless and none of my family would let me stay with them. And people were setting me up to be homeless on the streets. So that when I went to the final custody hearing to try to get my son, they was trying to have me on drugs when I got out, trying to prostitute me, trying to do whatever they could, and still denying my pregnancy to try to say that I couldn't get my son back from Cynthia. And I prayed on my knees for 2 hours one time in silence, and I asked God, what do I do? Because people were trying to say, oh, you need to get a job, and you need to do this, and you need to get money. Oh, and you can get your son back if you get money. You ain't got no money. You ain't shit. So I had just got on my knees, and I started praying to God, and I was real silent because I know about demons and witches. I know about this